All right, guys, welcome back. We are out in the beautiful Sawtooth Range in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, and today we're going to be talking about the most important piece of ski gear I own, how it keeps me safe, warm, and makes me a better skier every single day. But first, let's go skiing. So just for reference, this is like Mabel's first time ever skiing backcountry skiing, so pretty cool experience to share. This is doing so good. All right, my turn. All right, guys, welcome back. So we just wrapped up shooting in Idaho, and today we're going to be covering a topic that I am super passionate about because that is the most important piece of ski gear I own, and that is going to be my ski boots. Now, I have a long and crazy history with ski boots, from breaking a pair every season to testing out equipment for some major brands, and I finally found a solution that actually works for me. And I'm excited to share that with you guys. So today we're going to be going over what my boots are, what makes them so special, but also what you guys should look for if you're buying boots and how to get the perfect fitting boot the first time around. Let's get into it. Okay, guys, so this is the part of the video where I like to do a little bit of a disclaimer and cover my biases and stuff like that. So throughout this video, I'm going to be talking a ton about Surefoot, and that's just because Surefoot has been, honest to God, a lifesaver. They are the ones who helped me figure this all out. They are the ones who got me in my first properly fitted pair of boots. They helped me with frostbite issues and all sorts of different stuff, and they deserve recognition for that. This is not a paid promotion. They don't know I'm making this video. They had no say in this script, and this isn't part of any contract that I've ever had with them. This is completely my own thoughts, and we're going to cover a lot that is broadly applicable to ski boots. So you should be able to learn even if you're not going to be going to a Surefoot location. So with that out of the way, I want to get into a little bit of my history with ski boots because it's a really, really crazy story. But if you're not interested in that at all and just want to know what goes into a perfectly fitting high performance boot, you can skip to this timestamp here. But the story kind of goes that back when I was in high school, when I was 14, 15, 16, and I was still skiing competitively, I had a pair of boots that was massively oversized for me, and I was picking up shin bang constantly. So I switched over to my first boot that was like purpose kind of set up for me by a shop, and split right out the back, shattered that one in half. The company sends me another boot. This time it's got a retaining piece in the back, and within 2 weeks I've shattered that retaining piece. So they send me an experimental retaining piece. A month later I shatter that. So they send me an even better one, and then that one's gone. And then the liner's packed out, and then I'm getting shin bang all over again. And then I switch over to backcountry boots. They're ultra lightweight, they're ultra, efficient, and my toes go blue on like a -10-degree day, and I have to deal with like a month of really bad frostbite. And after that, that boot, anytime I take it out, even on like a 30-degree day, a couple runs in, my toes are going completely numb. And this entire time, I'm over flexing that boot, breaking buckles, cracking the plastic, all sorts of problems. So the issue is that I just can't get a boot tight enough and stiff enough, but my feet are constantly too cold, and I land so hard that I'm over flexing boots both forwards and backwards, shattering the plastic and breaking buckles off like crazy. And that kind of gets into this boot and what makes it so special that it solves all of those problems for me all at once. And there is a ton of tech in this boot that makes it the perfect ski boot for me, and I'm going to go through that tech and what you guys can learn from what's inside this to get a perfectly fitting boot for you. So let's actually get into the construction of what is, in my opinion, the perfect ski boot, and the way that I'm going to do this so that it both covers what Surefoot did, but also so that you guys can apply it anywhere, is I'm going to take this boot apart and I'm going to go through each component of its construction, why it's so important, and what you're trying to achieve with it. In order to do that, I got to actually take this thing apart. So let's open it up. What we've got here are the three major pieces of ski boot construction. We have your insole, your liner, and your shell. I'm gonna go through these one at a time based on kind of how they foundationally support your foot, not how you would buy a ski boot. But if you wanna know how you would pick a ski boot, I'm gonna go through the buying process towards the end and give you a little bit of tips and advice based on that from experience. Starting right off, we have your insoles, all right? Now, for years, I was an anti-insole person, all right? Every single time they put an insole in, it hurt my foot in some way. It always created a pressure point on my arch or rubbed on my heels or something. So even though I was given multiple custom insoles, I would usually just take them out and I would throw in a flat piece of foam at the bottom, all right? Now that works, but it's gonna hurt you in the long run and it's gonna significantly cause damage to your feet. What an insole is trying to do is achieve the neutral position. So real quick with me, start by rolling your foot all the way to the right so that the side of your foot is what you're standing on. Now you can do that and stand on it, but you couldn't run on that. Now do the opposite, try to roll it all the way to the outside. My point is that as your foot goes away from center, it loses its ability to support itself. And there is more than just that one angle, because you have the arch and you have the different aspects of your foot, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to get that Achilles and everything in perfect alignment, and that is the true neutral position. So a proper insole should support along your arch and be able to keep your entire foot in true neutral, which is a natural and relaxed position that allows more strength from your leg to be translated into the boots. Okay, most shops will sell some variation of custom insoles as well as all of the generic ones that are designed to fit a general audience. Now, I'm lucky in that Surefoot will actually do a full scan of my foot, a topographical scan that measures all the way along my foot and knows how much pressure needs to be applied in every single spot. And then they actually mill out the insole at the shop and then just slide that straight into your boot. With that said, this is the foundation of all skiing. When you're skiing, your foot should be relaxed and your leg should be driving force behind your control. With a properly fitted insole, you can ski much harder without having to strain your foot at all. So that's the foundation, and if you are gonna buy like a generic ski boot at a shop, make sure that you take the time to find the insole that's gonna work the best for you if the one in the boot doesn't work perfectly automatically. Okay, moving into liners, because this is where things get really interesting. So this is a Technica ski boot, but this is not a Technica liner. All right, trying to fit a foot into a stock liner is kind of like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. All right, they are going to do their best to make liners that accommodate the most number of people, but that means it's going to have pros and cons for every single person. And they've introduced new technologies to address this, such as heat molding, punching, stuff like that. But it's never going to be perfect. And one of the best examples of that is with this ski boot. This is a 26.5, but if I went to almost any shop, they would size me into a 27.5. And that would be because they don't want me sliding forward and hitting the end of the boot. However, with a custom liner, because it's a high density foam that is molded to the curves of my foot, it locks me in place perfectly. And so I only really have a couple millimeters at most of clearance between my toes and the end of the boot. But with this fitting properly, I don't slide forward, hit the end of the boot, and so therefore I'm able to ski a much smaller boot that gives me a better flex, a better control, and I don't sacrifice sliding around in any other dimension. So what are you looking for in a liner? Well, if you're gonna do a generic liner, which most people are going to do, make sure that you get it heat molded properly to fit your foot. All right, what they're gonna do is they're going to heat that up and they're gonna have you stand in it in place for a good long while, trying to get it to form into the natural skiing position. And the most important thing here is that you follow their instructions to the letter. You really don't want to mess up this process because you can only do it so many times before you kind of start to sacrifice some quality. All right, if you're getting a custom liner like this one and you can see the ports along it, what they're doing is they actually put the liner on and it's nothing more than a sock almost. It's completely void of all the foam. Then they run a chemical process that injects the memory foam into this liner, locking in around all the curves of your ankle and stuff like that. Now the beauty of this one is that this also has pre-wired heating elements inside of the toe cap, and the cable comes out to the top, so I don't have to install anything additional for heating. Now, that is a really nice luxury of a custom liner, but I understand that some people are just gonna go with a generic one. So talk to your boot fitter, make sure that you get it custom molded to you and really lock in that foot. What you're trying to do the most with a custom liner is, or any liner really, is locking your heel. That is the single most important point of contact that you're gonna have as a skier. Everything from the front half of your foot forward could be free floating, but you need that heel to lock in and stay in place so that your foot doesn't have to do any work to stay in control within your boot. Okay, and lastly, the ski boot itself. Now, if you are going to a general boot fitter, then the most amount of information that you're going to be able to give them is kind of the length, which they'll measure at location, and then they'll look at width as well. Now, there is a lot of different dimensions in ski boots, from the heel pocket to the toe width to the length to just individual sizing changes, arches, weird stuff like that, how narrow it is here, how narrow it is here, yada, yada, yada. All right. Now, SureFit does something really cool where they take a full scan of your foot. So they know every dimension of your foot, and they're going to run all of those dimensions against every single boot in the industry to find the one that most closely matches the profile of your foot, and then put you into that boot. And so I was actually really curious about this because I didn't know what boot they were going to put me in. And after the scan, after looking at everything, the one that fit me the best was actually sizing down in the Technica Coaches. And these are great. These are a 130 flex touring boot. It's not going to be for your super efficient uphill skimo guy, but for somebody who wants to ski really, really hard in the backcountry, this is a phenomenal boot. Now, I can't tell you to go buy one specific shell, but I will tell you that when picking a shell, it's going to mostly come down to your use cases as well as the dimensions of your foot. For example, if you are a lighter weight skier or a more beginner to intermediate skier, then you'll probably want somewhere between an 85 and a 100 to 110 flex. If you are an intermediate to advanced skier, then you're probably going to want to go between 110 and 130. However, every single boot flexes differently, and those numbers are not very standardized. So know what the boot is made out of, ask your boot fitter how well the boot holds up, and kind of gauge off of that to get a solid answer. Kind of knowing what you're buying is really important, and then features like how does your walk mode work. For example, this is a really robust walk mode, however, the locking feature tends to get stuck, which hilariously enough, oh, there we go, it is not anymore. This is super robust, it's not going to break, but it's also not the easiest to use with mittens. Some of the more complex systems are very easy to use, but are very prone to breakage. All right, this boot has been excellent for me, and the only reason I'm able to ski a size down one is because my foot was properly measured, and I got a high density foam liner that holds my foot in place so I don't slide forward and hit it. One of the really cool features that the SureFoot boots come with specifically that has been a lifesaver as somebody who's dealt with serious frostbite is that every single one of their liners come pre-wired with the heating elements in the toes, and then this cable at the top, which then allows you to attach one of their batteries separate. This will just go onto the ski strap. And then this gives me 4 to 8 hours of heat in my toes, which has been a serious lifesaver for somebody who's out shooting all day long out in the snow. So this boot setup is pretty incredible and has made a real big difference for me. And I just kind of wanted to show this off and talk about it because I know so many skiers who are constantly dealing with boot problems, but don't understand what goes into the boot to achieve a proper fit, and aren't finding the performance or solutions that they're looking for. So hopefully with this, you guys are able to see how the boot is constructed, and then be able to apply that whether you guys are having one custom made or just buying a general one in a shop. Okay guys, so with that, I didn't want to make this a super long video. It's not an overly complicated topic, but I really cannot express how much of a difference good ski boots make. If your ski boots fit properly, then they should keep you warmer, they should perform better, you shouldn't have any over flexing or under flexing issues, you should have significantly more control and significantly less boot pain. And there are so many skiers I know who are dealing with boot problems every single day, who are going in early, who have to go in because their feet are too cold or because their skis hurt too much. They aren't willing to try new things, send new tricks because they have boot pain, and there are solutions out there, all right? Getting something custom built like this by people who understand it from a biomedical point and understand this stuff as a science is incredibly important. I feel incredibly thankful for this system because honestly, I would not be where I am today as a skier without this. This has allowed me to ski twice as many days in a season and ski twice as long every single day. It has saved me from so much nerve damage in my foot due to cold and other things. We have started tours in -15, -20, -30 degree days, and if I have my batteries charged and this system is working perfectly, I won't have a single problem throughout the entire day, and that is incredible. So if you guys learned anything at all, don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.